We brought you the secret Trump-Cohen tape last night, and now there is a debate raging about who said what and why. Teams Cohen and Trump disagree on a key part. Partisans are, of course, doing what they do worst, just taking sides. So let's do something better, all right? Let's get as close as we can. Let's get up. Come on, Ellie. Always take a picture of me, never just my chest. Let's try and get as close to the truth as we can here. This is what we did for you. We enlisted a top forensic expert to do what happens in court cases that hang on audio tapes all the time. They sweeten the audio, as they call it. They improve it to try to make sense out of it. Now, his name is Ed Primo. Let's take a look at him. He's coming to us from his house where he actually does this work. Good to see you, Ed. He's testified as an expert witness in hundreds of cases. He uses all kinds of digital tools to filter out noise, and he has been pouring through every millisecond of the tape all day. He is confident that he knows what the president was saying and what Michael Cohen was saying. We're going to bring him in, of course. But first, I want to play some of the audio as it was and how he enhanced it for us. All right, let's start with the original, okay? This is the original recording that we played for you last night, the relevant part.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to pay?
Funding. Yes. And it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
All right, so now it clips and goes to another call. We're going to ask Primo about what his read is on that. But the part you just heard at the end, that's the most disputed part of the tape. Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, part of the team, says it was Cohen. Reportedly, he had said that Cohen wanted this to be a cash deal for a potential payment to the National Enquirer's parent company to keep Karen McDougal's story from going public. Now he says his position is simply that Trump wanted the deal done right. Now, Cohen's lawyer says it was the president who suggested to pay in cash. Now, why does that matter? Cash could indicate an intention to hide the transaction, but could also not mean that. And we're going to deal with what it could matter and why. But first, let's deal with what is, all right? We're going to run that portion of this one more time, right? Let's just run it again. This is the important part, okay?
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
All right, and at the end is the new call. All right, so who said what? This is the enhanced version, okay?
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
All right, I'm going to play it for you again. What do you hear the president say?
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
Did you hear the president say, we'll pay with cash? Or did you hear him say, do not pay with cash? Does it matter? Yes, but we'll get into that later. First, let's bring in expert Ed Primo. Ed, thank you very much for working on this the way you have. I know you had to drop things to get to this, so thank you. Let the audience know, how long have you been doing this?
You're welcome, Chris. This is my 34th year as of May this year, 2018.
Okay, 34 years in the business. How certain are you about what you believe you hear on this tape?
I'm fairly confident, Chris. Sound perception, we all have different abilities of hearing sound and hearing speech the way we perceive it. I was in the room all day today. I enhanced the recording. I listened to the words and I typed them as I heard them. I didn't know anything about this story prior to starting, so remaining unbiased was a key into the work that I did. And I stand behind what I've transcribed and presented tonight for your show.
Okay, have you on record saying that. What do you think Trump says about cash?
I'm hearing the words, so we'll pay with cash, or so I'll pay with cash. And then Cohen comes back with the no, no, no right after that.
All right. So that's how you believe that you hear it. Now, a couple of quick questions here for you. What did you learn from the metadata of the clip? Data in the file and how it was saved.
Well, the clip is incomplete. We've got the beginning, I believe, because I can see a start signature at the beginning of this recording. In other words, when the recorder was engaged, and where the dialogue just abruptly ends and some new conversation comes in, there is a butt splicer, an edit there. Those two pieces are cut together, and I can clearly see that, and I'm certain any other forensic expert with the same qualifications would agree with me.
So what does that mean to the uninitiated?
What I saw in the that means that this is not an original, it's not a master, and it is not a complete recording.
Means that their conversation may well have continued beyond that abrupt ending and that other call that comes in.
That's a high degree of probability that that's the case, Chris.
And I think that matches common sense as well. It seems like they're having a conversation and then something happened to the recording. What it is, we don't know, and we can't tell from this. It seems to end on the word check. Now, another question for you. Well, I guess that answers it, right? The abrupt end, you subscribe to the fact of how it was edited because this isn't an original and it was clipped at the end. That we don't know what that means in terms of content, but in terms of orchestration of putting it together, it's something people should know. Something interesting about you they should know. You have not been following the news about the tape and who said what and why. Is that true?
That's true. I was not in front of a TV. As a matter of fact, I've had a lot of family activity going on the last week, and I don't think I've had the television on in over a week now.
Now, that is relevant because your ears weren't biased in terms of what you've been told you should be hearing.
That's correct.
It's interesting in terms of having what they call in your business a clean palate. You came into this without any kind of preconceived notions. Now, I want to play it again for the audience. Just the cash part. Here's the enhanced version of what Primo provided us.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay with cash.
no. I got no. Hey, no, how are you?
And you're saying that what you hear is the president saying, so I'll pay cash, and Cohen says, no, and then the word check. Now, to what the other side says, okay? This is what Primo says. You see it on your screen right now. This is how he believes he recognizes the sound. Rudy Giuliani, I told him what your findings were, and he had a response. And I want to put that up for the audience, please. We had it written up in the interest of fairness. Dueling experts can come to different conclusions. In context, using cash would make no sense because the transaction is between corporations. Now, I want to remind you of the transcript as they believe it. Put that up for the audience. I will get that, and we will put it up for you because the key part is that they believe that the president says, do not pay with cash. Now, let's be fair. Rudy's right. Dueling experts, I've been in so many cases, and so have you, where experts come to different conclusions, and then the jury has to avail themselves of a lot of argument about context and what makes sense. Is it fair to argue in this case that someone equally qualified to you, Mr. Primo, could hear it and say, could be, do not pay with cash?
It's fair to say that, Chris, and if you consider the fact that there's two people talking, they're different proximities away from the recorder. When I listen to this key part of conversation, I can hear the words consistently, which I believe President Trump is saying, at a certain distance. So it's the same level, it's the same amplitude. When you hear Cohen speak, he's a little bit louder and he's more dominant with the conversation. I used a key tool, an isotope RX6 called Dialogue Isolate, to help me separate those voices and to analyze them. And that's what I base my opinion on, is that analysis.
What do you think that people should take away from this tape? What matters to you most about it?
I think what matters to me most is it's incomplete. So we've got the end of a piece of conversation, and now I understand why it's important. And I'm very curious what the rest of this tape might have, because we seem to hear, I'm interpreting it as a CK. I'm not hearing the full word check, although it could be as fast as they're talking, it could be the word check.
And both sides
recording
stipulate to
completely
that.
ends.
You know, it's unusual that the sides agree to much in this, but they both stipulate that the word check was said. So we'll give them that. We'll give them that at their reckoning, because neither gets benefit from that construction of it. You also believe you heard the president on this tape say 150 grand, that he knew how much money was being considered before Cohen ever said anything to him about that amount of money. That will be relevant to people, because you can't really hear it clearly on the tape. You cleaned it up for us, and that goes to what he knew and when. So, Ed Primo, thank you for spending the time. I appreciate your efforts. It is helpful to us.
It's my pleasure, Chris.
All right, now, a few things for you to take away from this. I'm a lawyer. I talk like a lawyer. He's been in trials. This is not a verdict, okay? There is no case closed here. Even at trial, I cannot tell you how often something that may sound very clear to you doesn't to the ears of different jurors, and it gets complicated. You heard the opinion of an expert as our guest. We always want you, in fact, on this show, we depend on you drawing your own conclusions. Now, let me tee up the main question. Does this matter to investigators? Should this matter to you for political determinations? Yes,